We are now going from Lewis, which is kind of halfway between Milton to Rehoboth, which is our original location, our brew pub, distillery, and experimental brewery. When we get in the doors, we're going to be tasting probably the most experimental beer we've done in a long time, a 9,000-year-old Chinese recipe. So here we go.
All right. Nice meeting you, Michael.
This could look really bad.
That's auto white balance. Okay. And now you're out of focus though. All that car.
So the cold winter is when we do very small volume.
Sure.
What's up, guys?
How you doing, Sam?
Wired. So
I can turn off the light bulb.
You tell us, JR, and then I'm just going to kind of introduce Michael and Mike and let them kind of talk about what we did here.
Okay.
And taste it together.
All right, sounds good.
So in terms of who's standing where, how do you want to do this?
Yeah, why don't you, Michael, you stand over here, maybe in between these two guys.
Okay.
And I'll get a shot where I can get.
Is this going to be like a POV shot where you've seen me hold it up to the light and now you see a shot of what I'm seeing?
Yeah, so I'm just going to get a close-up so I can cut away to really...
So do we want to have more in the glass?
No, that's good. And actually, in a sec, just go ahead now and take a sip.
Right.
Action!
All right. So basically, we're in the small brewery here in Rehoboth at our original location, which we still use for experimental brewing. And we have a very experimental beer that we're trying tonight that's kind of sort of genealogy-wise in the same family of Midas Touch. Midas Touch is a beer that we brew, won the gold medal in the honey beer category at the GABF last year, a 2,700-year-old recipe that was discovered in a tomb in Turkey by a molecular archaeologist based out of UPenn, Patrick McGovern. When he made the discovery, he knew enough about beer he wanted to reproduce it. He knew enough about beer to contact Michael and say, hey, we made this discovery of a 2,700-year-old beer based on residue found in the crockery. We know it was made with these few ingredients. They're not traditional ingredients. We want to reproduce it. What do you recommend? And Michael was kind enough to say, there just happens to be a bunch of freaks about 2 hours south of you in Delaware making beer with raisins and maple syrup. Give them a try. And so we hooked up with Patrick through Michael, made Midas Touch, and it's been a great success for us. Not really in terms of volume of sales. It grows every year. It's a small part of our portfolio, but just as a great beer to show and expand people's idea of what beer can be. It appeals to wine drinkers as much as it appeals to beer drinkers. And recently, Patrick made a discovery in a tomb in China of a beer that's over 3 times as old as Midas Touch, a 9,000-year-old recipe that was made with hawthorn fruit, chrysanthemum flowers, rice, you know, all the things you associate with your bland lagers here in America. And the charge of brewing this experimental beer fell to Mike Gerhardt, our distillery and brewery manager here in Rehoboth, and his lovely assistant Katie, who works with him in the brewery here. And the 3 of us a week ago brewed this beer that we're calling Chateau Jiahu, which was the name of the site where the discovery was made in China. So this beer, Mike, is only partway through fermentation.
Correct. It's not even a week old as of yet. It's been going through its fermentation. Cheers. It's fermenting with sake. Kanpai.
Kanpai, that's the Chinese.
Kanpai is Japanese.
Yeah. It's in Taiwan they say Kenpai, almost the same, so I guess it'll do. It'll do for our purposes today. So this has been in tank for a week?
Correct, just under a week.
How long should it be in tank for?
The sake yeast is fermenting pretty low in temperature at about 60 degrees, so it should be in fermentation mode for about another week at least before it's gonna. Some of these off flavors will be reabsorbed by the yeast. And
there's yeast and some kind of mold in there too.
The mold cake we had, we used to start a fermentation in sticky rice, which we made a Neolithic rice wine out of.
So that's something like what they would call a koji in.
Correct.
Making a sake.
We didn't use that amount of mold cake. We had a very small amount, about 65 grams, which we ended up getting to produce close to 5 gallons of crude rice wine, which we then added in to kickstart the fermentation.
And granted, the good thing is we don't have anyone who can tell us right now what it tasted like when they really made it. So there's no one to tell us we made it wrong.
I mean, it probably tasted horrible.
Yeah, right? Like Ninkasi, you did that thing with Anchor 12, 15 years ago.